It is, as the experts would say, a hoot and a half. That's like 10 out of 10 as far as a star rating goes. Rating with hoots is really hard because you only have a hoot and a half. There's no such thing as 2 hoots. I have an idea. What's up, everybody? My name's Chance, and today we're going to be diving into, well, a squirrel's best thought ever, and that is an epiphany, right? Of course, squirrel's thought is an epiphany. Anyways, we're playing a deck that allows us to not only control the board state today, not only play a cool looking squirrel, but also to use this cool card right here, Alrund's Epiphany. 7 mana sorcery, create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one, exile this card as per the normal, you know, take 2 turns sort of abilities. Anyways, the nice thing about this is you can foretell it, pay 2 mana, stick it out to the side, then it can't be discarded from your hand, your opponent can't really interact with it, right? And then it also only costs 6 mana, so 6 mana take an extra turn, which is, well, really good in any amount of any variance, right? Especially whenever you have things such as Toski? I don't know. Bearer of Secrets, 4 mana for this legendary creature, and it is a squirrel. And we're playing Squirrel's Epiphany today for 2 reasons. One, the Epiphany, well, it generally allows you to win the game if you have anything down, such as a Yugen, Coma, or Cragplate, right? Take an extra turn. These things are all big enough to deal enough damage to finish the opponent off, or at least get very, very close, right? Toski, however, is going to allow you to get to the point of casting the Epiphany down, right? It's a great defender the first turn it comes down, 4 mana, 1/1 with indestructible, which means as long as your opponent doesn't have trample, it can chum block for days. Furthermore, whenever it goes back to attack, the opponent generally won't be blocking it unless, you know, they absolutely don't mind losing units, because you can always just sort of bounce your opponent's units or swing in with Toski and leave your mana up as sort of a threat, right? They don't know that you don't have anything. Anyways, when this, or when a creature at all deals combat damage to a player, we get to draw a card. Now, this really isn't hard to activate, as we do have Coma, which gives us the 3/3 Serpent, so every upkeep, your opponent's and yours, you're creating more and more and more and more, and giving Toski more creatures to swing in with and, you know, draw that card. Anyways, Cragplate Bailoff is another really high-end card, but for some reason this deck has no problem casting these high-end cards, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But Cragplate Bailoff, 7 mana for the 6/6 hexproof haste, and it can't be countered, which means this is the ultimate card against other control decks, because they can't target it, they can't counter it, which means the only way they can really deal with it is board wipe. And if it's coming down that late into the game, hopefully you'll have already drawn out their board wipe with whatever other creatures you have, right? Or hopefully by that time you have counter magic available, such as a mystical or an Essence Scatter, right? Not that an Essence Scatter is going to save you too much, but still. Cyclone Summoner, 7 mana for the 7/7 Giant Wizard, and it has such a huge tempo play. Return all permanents to their owner's hands, except for Giants, Wizards, and lands. Now this can work in, you know, combination for you or for the opponent if you're not careful. So make sure you're not bouncing all your other stuff. Make sure you're not up against a Giants deck before you play Cyclone Summoner and you're like, oh, all your creatures stayed and all mine did not, right? So this is a great way to slow down your opponent's tempo if they're not playing a Giant Wizard deck, right? Anyways, you get the 7 mana, 7/7 come down. Also allows you to cast Glimpse of the Cosmos from the graveyard for a simple 1 blue mana, which is really a nice side effect, given this card is already pretty good. 2 mana, sorry, look at the top 3, drag 1 out. And then of course, if you get the Cyclone Summoner down, then you can go looking for more, right? Now this is a Snow Simic deck, so we are also playing Graven Lore and Avalanche Color, which to me is a very slept on card. 2 mana, create a 4/4 with hexproof haste until end of turn, and it's still a land? Yeah, sign me up. Essence Scatter, because there are a lot of creature heavy decks nowadays. Kozima, help us keep card draw, you know, incoming and getting this thing bigger and bigger. Or vice versa, if you're up against aggro, mono red, Boros, that kind of stuff, drop in a 2/4 for 3 mana. It's a solid body defender, and at any point in the future, if you would like to exile it for the card draw card advantage, you can. So really good sort of universal card that it acts as whatever you need it to be, whether it's a creature or a card draw engine. 2 copies of Mystical for, you know, counter magic. 3 copies of Brazen to bounce our opponent's stuff and then, well, counter it or bounce our opponent's stuff, slow their tempo down, and then, you know, cast Alrund's Epiphany so they can't recast whatever we just bounced. Anyways, the way that we are actually getting into this top end is fairly simple. We have 4 copies of Migration Path and 4 copies of Cultivate, so you're basically going to be drawing a whole lot of lands out of your deck for the free ski, which means you need, you know, a lot of basics. So we have 8 snow covered, island, and forest. Now, one nice thing about Migration Path, if come mid to late game you're like, yeah, I'm all good on lands, I really don't need any more, just cycle this thing, okay? And I would recommend using the cultivates first, as again, if it comes to that mid to late game, you can cycle the Migration Path, you can't cycle a cultivate, so, you know, use the ones that you're not going to be able to not use later. Does that make sense? Anyways, the original creator of this deck did have it run in a best of 3, so it has a little bit of a sideboard over here. I have deconstructed it a little bit so we can not have that message of, oh, you don't have all the cards. But my main concern was, can this be played in best of 1? Can this be used to control best of 1s when you don't have that sideboard option available? You don't have that game 3 to go to. And the answer, ladies and gentlemen, is yes. This deck was absolutely amazing. It dominated almost all the decks that it came up against, and most importantly, it was super fun to play. So if you're looking for a fun, competitive, controlling deck that allows you to play, well, some fun competitive cards such as Toski and Kaldheim Epiphany, I do recommend this deck, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So if you've enjoyed the video, if you've enjoyed the deck tech breakdown, be sure to leave a like down below, comment in the comment section. Of course, if you're new here and you want to see more of this awesome one-of-a-kind content, be sure you're hitting that subscribe button and the bell icon that pops out after, as this is the only place to get this kind of magic decks with these kind of puns. Am I right? Anyways, thanks to you all for watching this morning, this afternoon, this night, whatever time it may be, wherever you are. I hope you're having a nice one, and without further ado, we're going to dive into the matches. Raga. Well, that's fine. We're going to be the Scry guy. No, actually, I don't know. All right, well, let's get off to the races then, huh? Let's go ahead and get down a creature. We can at least block the 1/1 from their side, and if it's a Gruul aggro deck, then this will be good. Also, if they have a Bone Crusher, can't take out the Avalanche Caller, so that's good, unless, of course, they swing him with the 1/1 and play the red mana, which that's a little telltale sign. They could also just swing in now, not play red mana, but again, I think we would be smart enough to know that that is Bone Crusher coming. More green mana, looking like a mono green Andy. Looking like a mono green Andy. Edgewall, yeah. Yep. Essence Scatter is really nice for us. They're gonna get the card draw, but we could still we can still counter Ruski the spell. So let's go ahead and get double blue down. And leave it at that, I think. No attacks, in turn. Essence Scatter, they'll probably drop a land and a Love Struck here. They will still get the card draw, like I said, but getting the 5/5 out of here. Oh no, they dropped a tap land. So I do want to counter the edge wall because it gives them huge amounts of card advantage, but I also want to counter the Love Strucks when they come down, so we're going to be to the Yugen eventually. I say we counter the Love Struck. Land? Well, that is Migration Path if we want it. But then, of course, we can't counter the Love Struck that we've been oh so diligently holding out for. Puts us to 6 mana, which is 1 away from the coma. I think we wait and we still counter. Argument could have been made that we counter the edge wall in case we drew a land there for this specific reason, but it's alright. Nice. Thanks. I've been holding out hope for that. I've been holding out hope. Alright, well, let's go ahead and use Migration Path. They will get down the other love truck, but we'll be very, very close to Yugen, so... We have a lot of islands already. Let's go ahead and grab some more snow-covered forest. So Coma can come down next turn, and Coma does deal with the love struck as it's a 6/6. It makes 3/3 bodies. The Akroan War, oh, so beautiful. We're saying nice, kind of ironically, because we're about to drop a Coma. We're about to put him in a coma. Get it, Snake? Cool. Coma. Anyways, Graven Lord is also really good, but I think this is like pretty obviously easily. Coma. Create the 3/3. They don't have any white mana, which means they don't have Giant Killer to preemptively take out the Coma here either. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Also, when the Akroan War goes to make our Coma deal damage to itself, we can just sacrifice a Serpent and it'll gain Indestructible, in which case it won't die, right? So, they're going to draw up a Storm here, but we do have Graven Lore, so we can counteract with a little bit of draw ourselves. Of course, if we hit a land, we can always use Yugen and just exile their permanents, which would be dandy. Danderific. And of course, if we get Alrund's Epiphany and we can have, you know, an extra turn, I won't say no to that. The 2 little 1/1 birds or whatever, but... Is that going to be it for them? They have 1 single red mana left, oh, and they're going to drop another one, alright. No attacks here, I assume. Unless it's the Avalanche Caller, in which case we will take out our own creature, and I have no qualms with that. It's another land, which means we can Yugen exile everything of theirs. Exile 4, right? Goodbye. Bam! Alright, and then we get another Serpent back here. And they only have 2 red mana, so it's not like they could have had 3 Bone Crushers in hand to take out Coma with, right? Because that would be our luck. We're doing alright, though. We have our card draw to restock our hand. Also, Scry 5 when we cast that, right? So that's really nice. Glimpse also allows us to dive down. So even though we only have 2 cards and it looks like they have a card advantage, we really are doing alright. Shatter Skull, spending their entire turn taking out a Yugen, fine by me, because we're about to swing back at them for 9, right? So, things are going alright. I gotta say, the card draw for this deck felt a lot better. Of course, it did have the Migration Path to help ramp us into that stuff. So, Brush Fire, teeny tiny little Brush Fire, not gonna do much against us. Not much at all. I think we go ahead and Smash Face here. Let's use Glimpse on our turn. It's nothing but lands. Nothing but lands. We can cast these on their turn, so I think we should and we shall. See what they have. We might want counter magic for it. We're at 7 mana, which means if I cast Graven Lore... Nope. Good guy. Good guy. Good game, Raga. If I can say that properly. Nunu, like from League of Legends. I do enjoy little lull action everywhere. We have nothing but ramp here, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to keep it because it means if we draw into anything playable, we should be just golden, right? And we can also cycle the Migration Path if it gets to being too much, right? So we'll see. We'll go for the turn 3 Cultivate. We also have a Brazen now, so that's kind of good, right? We could drop a Snow-Covered Forest and bounce something if need be, but no, they're not going to drop anything on turn 2, so I feel fine dropping a Fabled, and we'll hit that turn 3 Cultivate. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I really love the snow lands. It just all looks so mystical, magical, and fantastic. Skyclave Relic, actually nice that we do have the Brazen Borrower, because that's something that we can bounce, and it has Indestructible, so we're looking to bounce and then counter, right? That's exactly what we're going to try and do to that thing. Coma. But we're going to cast Cultivate first, you know, to get lands down. We're at 4. We can cast Migration, be up to 6, 7 next turn, which is Coma. Something to be said about dropping a turn 5 Snake Arena. Snake Aruski? Nico Harris, hey, that's not good for us, right? Alright, well, I think we do still Migration Path here. We could bounce something, but again, I think we're more concerned with getting our Coma down. So we'll drop one of each, continue along the pattern. The pattern path. Let's see, what is that? 7? This will be 8 next turn. They have a lot of mana, by the way. These aren't mana, but I was just looking at it. A lot relatively, right? 5? What turn are we on? Turn 5? Turn 6? It's hard for me to know whenever I'm ramping. Oh. Oh. They have some counter magic there. I can tell. I can smell it. I can tell it and I can smell it. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, ladies and gentlemen. You just gotta go with it, alright? So we're gonna use the Fabled here. Grab all these basics out of our deck. Do I look like a basic Andy to you? Let's drop Coma because it can't be countered. So you gotta have another trick up your sleeve there, Nunu. That's right, they made the big snake uncounterable. They made it uncounterable, indestructible, able to tap permanents. They're scrying. They're looking maybe for some exile, banishing light, something along those lines. That would be obviously horrific for us. But if they do cast a banishing light, you know, we have the nice thing of having the brazen that can come down and bounce it. So we could sort of look for another answer, so to speak. Should I have used that second Migration Path, or should I have used our second Cultivate? Oh, I didn't use it. It's over here. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, and they have the Black Lotus over here. Yeah, nice. We can tell Nunu is a professional. Alright. Liking the deck so far. The only thing that I'm really missing out on is the Epiphany and the Squirrel. The whole Squirrel Epiphany. Right now we're just playing Big Snake. Elspeth Conquers Death. You know, that's a pretty good way to deal with the snake. If I'm being honest. Pretty good way to deal with the snake. But we got 2 in the deck, so, you know. Alrighty. So we can take out the Nico come our turn. Unless, of course, they go ahead and minus it and create another shard token here. Yeah. Well, fine by me. Another Coma. Well. Well. Yeah. Alright, well. So use the other Fabled so we can try and stop this drawing of basic lands, right? Coma. Alrighty. If nothing else, we created another 3/3, you know? We paid 7 mana to create a 3/3, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the world's best value proposition. So we're probably going to cycle this Migration Path, yeah? Can we cycle it? No, they're scooping it out. They said, no, I can't deal with 2 big snakes. I dealt with 1, but 2 is too many. We also have the Glimpse to, of course, dive down into our deck, find something of value, and we have Epiphany, which is going to be, hopefully, the first time that we get to cast it, right? Migration Path will help us ramp if we can get there, and I think that pretty much sums up the hand, right? Everything, all in all, except for the land in hand. It's a mystery, man. I'll stop rhyming, I'm sorry, I know it's not. Rhyming was cool in the 90s, right? I think it faded out in the 2000s. It's weird, and I got to thinking about this the other day, the evolution of comedy, you know? In 90s, and the comedy, the whole culture, you can sort of trace it all together, because like the comedy and the music and the TV and the movies, all that will sort of follow the same suit. And in the 90s and the 2000s, and even now where we're at now, is a great example of that, because you see in the 90s it had a lot of grunge, and the music was grunge, the humor was sort of grungy, the movies were grungy, And then you got, you know, the early 2000s where everything was like, we're not grunge. We're now clean. We're in the new millennia, and everything was trying to be new, so to speak. Anyways, got to thinking about that. Some random thoughts with the doctor. You know, you get bored at work or, you know, playing Magic, waiting on the Teferi foe to play down that turn 1 Ruin Crab so you can ruin their day. See the shame scoop in the opposite way, am I right? No snow covered plains. Alright, well, whatever. Just completely counteract everything I was building myself into saying there. Sure. We'll go ahead and use Glimpse of Cosmos. I would like some land. I would like some land arena. I think we take the snow-covered forest. Or maybe we should have taken the pathway, actually, because we're going to draw the forest. We're going to draw the basics with our pathway, or with our migration paths and our cultivates, right? Luminarch going to be building up the beloved princess. Oh, so beloved. Back to their turn. We got to keep the mana for Mystical Dispute and hope that they don't, you know... Well, I guess we can counter anything, but hope they don't just jam up the board with a lot of little costs. So, I would love to see a Coma sooner rather than later. Heliod, can't let that happen. No siree. That would be bonkers good for the opponent. So they're gonna deal 3-4 damage this turn. Yeah. Need to find something. Ooh, the Bearer of Secrets. The Secret Bearer. It's a whole bear wrapped into a little squirrel. I think we get it down. The Indestructible, it can block this turn for the Freeski, right? It can even block the Beloved Princess, so hey. What do you say? Another Luminarch Aspirant. Again, not fantastic for us, but the idea with this deck is to go to multiple turns, so... Additional counters. Ooh, they're just buffing up everything. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter what we block, but we should most certainly block. We're down to 11. I'm going to need stuff to start popping off a little faster here. We're at 5 mana. I can rush us to the Alrund's Epiphany, but they have 9, 10, 11. But Squirrel has to attack, right? So go ahead and attack, Squirrel, before I make my decisions, because you got to. You got to swing a root. They're probably going to let it happen, too, right? Because they should. Well, we gotta come up with something because we're looking at the fatality here of ourselves. That is self-fatality. What is that? Harakiri. All right, get him, Mr. Squirrel, Senior Squirrel. Attack. Get him. Go now, go. Yeah. Come on. You wouldn't even see it coming. It's gonna pop out behind the tree and gouge you with its nuts. Come on, Obrex. I can't feel this much air with dead talk. All right, they're gonna let it happen. It's fantastic. Round one pause. No. All right, let's cycle, because our lives depend on it. Let's cycle, because now we're just looking to see if we could have found an answer. Gravenlore. Alright, GG, opponent. You got me. You caught me with my pants down, and I gotta say it wasn't a pretty sight. All I had was a little squirrely down there. You plus 40. Oh. I don't know if that means like they're my age, plus 40 years, or it's like singularly me, but 40 plus me, so it's like that much better than me, or like 40 pounds plus me. You weigh 40 pounds more than me. I don't know, it's just a lot of speculation here. You know, I'm gonna say for the mystical, I have a funny feeling like this could be a Giant Andy trying to drop Invasion of the Giants here on turn 2. No Giant Andy here. Unfortunately, this is a snow-covered forest. I'm gonna wait one more turn. Just leave the mystical available. But that way, next turn we can drop Cultivate and drop a blue mana, so we can still have the Cultivate mana, or not Cultivate, the Mystical Dispute mana available. Sorry. Unfortunately, Avalanche is blue, so abadi-babada, I believe is how that song goes. More green mana. I think I would rather use Cultivate. And we're going to go ahead and grab 2 blue mana here, because we have plenty of green as a whole. Don't counter it. Negate? Are you freaking joking me, man? Alright, whatever. Negating on my Cultivate. What is Sourpuss? So... is it control? Hey, there we go. We found the additional blue mana. I don't need you. No how. No way. I'm casting my migration path today. We're going to grab some, probably still 2 blue mana, honestly. But if they go to counter me now, oh, you're going to wish you hadn't. You're going to wish you hadn't, Andy. I don't know why Andy is my target attack name today. If your name is Andy, please don't feel the pressure, okay? So we're up to 7 mana, right? I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay, all right. So that is a Graven Lore plus an Avalanche, a Gold Span Dragon. My oh my, what a lovely surprise. Do I go ahead and Graven Lore while they're all tapped out? I think so. We still have Mystical, so if they go for a counter magic spell here. Oh my goodness, at the lands. My god, man. Yeah, something like that. 4 to the bottom. All runs Epiphany. Hey, 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 what you doing? How are you doing it, too? Well, Yugen's alright, from what I hear. So maybe we can get the Epiphany down. Shark Typhoon. We gotta try and Mystical Dispute that. Now, they may have counter magic here, the same counter magic that they were saving through our turn. They don't. Fantastic. We're just gonna get to take out the Shark Typhoon. Fantastic. Do I trust the ability to get down the Yugen? Not really, but I also feel like that's kind of what we need to do, right? Could just try for an All Runs Epiphany. Let's cycle this and see what we can hit. Another land. Okay. Let's see if we can take another turn. Oh no, they have counter magic. Oh, I knew it. Alright. That's fine. Clears the way for our Yugen. Right? They gotta have something here. Foretell or something. Bone Crusher? Surely they don't have another counter spell, right? They only have 2 cards in hand. This is gonna be the ultimate prime time for us to try and get this down. They either have it or they don't, though. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Whew. Lucky, lucky us. That is 5, right? Yeah. They had a frostbite. Alright, that makes sense. Scrying with the castle, that makes sense. Hopefully they don't put any on top. We don't want to see another gold span. 2 on top. Son of a bitch. Alright, let's get down to Avalanche Caller. The Avalanche Baller. I mean, Cragplate's still good, right? It's dropping as like a 10 power creature, and it can't be countered, so good luck on countering it, you know what I mean? It has hexproof, so you can't target it to remove it or bounce it. Kablam! Cragplate. Yeah, smash him. Do it. One more turn of this, and they are done for. I like this bear over here, but it doesn't seem to respond to my clicking. That's the only thing I don't like. All the other animals, all the other pets, like, it responds to the opponent's clicking. So that's a 4/4 shark. It's enough to block the Cragplate. And a gold span for the GG. They got it on the back swing. They would have had it on the front swing too. It didn't really matter that I'd swung in, but still, that was a fantastic game. All right, we'll keep this hand. We have some ramp, and the Cyclone Summoner, card we haven't gotten to really use yet. Is dropping a giant killer on me off the Ripperoonie. Alrighty. They must know. They must be on to something. You know, I think I just now realized that that thing in the background of Giant Killer is indeed a giant that it is, well, taking out. And I don't mean to the ball game. So I think we do go for the ramp later, but we have to go for the Brazen Bounce on the Giant Killer after they attach that Shadow Spear, because we know they're going to. They're not going to. You fool. We gotta bounce it, yeah? Nah. Nah. There's gonna be a better time and place for this. I just know it. I just know it. Seasoned Hollow Blade. Well, we can cast Mystical Dispute, and I think that should be our course of action here. Surely they won't. Well, they might. They might equip Shadow Spear to the Giant Killer here. Alright, so we're dealing with that. Next turn we can have Migration Path, put us to 6 mana. Turn after that we'll have enough for the Cyclone Summoner, but that does bounce the Giant Killer back into their hand, which can immediately then take out Cyclone Summoner. So we're going to need some counter magic before that whole ordeal works out, right? So there we go, it is Giant Killer just equipped with the Shadow Spear. All Fabled all day. All day. Fabled. Every day, all day. It's fun. It's fine. Migration Path. One of you. One of you. Yeah, I mean, we might have to do that Cyclone Summoner thing just to slow him down, you know what I mean? Alvar! That's scary. That is super duper ultra mega scary. Just gonna leave it there, yep. And then we're going down to 7. They're going up to 29. 29, it feels so divine. We gotta drop the Cyclone Summoner and then sort of allow it to just eat it to the Giant Killer. This is gonna slow them down though, and that's what we're really looking for. Not necessarily to have the big 7/7, but Kablamo! That felt good, you know? And if they spend 3 mana using Giant Killer to just destroy our creature and then replay it, you know, they are giving us time. They are giving us tons and tons of time to use Graven Lore and go find stuff we need to, so I won't be opposed to that. I will not be opposed to that one bit if you want to spend all 4 of your mana taking out one of my creatures and getting down one little 1/2. Do it! Indeed they are. Alright, so this is a nice thing when it comes to an aggro deck is if you can out-tempo them, if you can out-stall them as a control deck, things get beautiful. Things get really, really, really beautiful. So we're going to grab some green mana and probably watch the opponent concede, if I had to guess about it. Nope, this one. Blammo. If we can get the Yugen to the -10, hey, nice. If not, it's still a nice Planeswalker to have down, as it can, well, exile most of their stuff, so. Unless they have removal for it. I don't know what removal in white mana you have specifically for Planeswalkers. Banishing Light, maybe? Alvar coming down. How big is this thing? 4? Before I play anything, because I'm probably going to play down my Kozima here, right? Like, as an actual creature. Kozima. Save the land for that. Save Graven Lore for their turn. Same thing with Brazen. And we pass it back to them. Babala? I don't know. I'm not good with names. Babala. Maybe it's Babala. That should be the end of their turn, right? Yeah. Scry 5. Toski is fun. Migration Path we don't need. Snow Cover we don't need. Mystical could come in handy. And another Graven Lore is nice. So yeah, we'll draw these 3. Yeah, we'll take action. Because I'm going to play this land here. And a Faceless Haven. Hey, that's a good thing as well. If you don't... No, I want to take action. Want to take the action. It didn't pop up anything, though. Whatever. Alright, so... Do I just go ahead and exile their Halvar again? Alright, in turn on that note, we still have 5 mana to cast Graven Lore with, so we can still scry 5. We can also still get down Brazen, and we have access to Mystical Dispute if that's just what we want to do, right? So I didn't see any counters put on her, though, is the thing. Oh, there it is. You have to, like, look in there. Look into the inside. Mystical Dispute, your Skyclave. They got to scoop at some point, right? How do you play against a control deck that has this much mana, this much control? There we go. Victory. That was easy, right?